Hi everyone. So last week I took a picture of the soy sauce honey marinade that my husband was making for our dinner that night, which had made two perfect layers. And I threw down the STEM challenge to you all to explain why the soy sauce looked like it was floating on top of the honey. So a lot of you had exactly the right idea. It had everything to do with the thickness of the honey and the thickness of the soy sauce. And we call that thickness, when we're talking about liquids like that, we call it density. So when we have density, we're talking about how closely together all the little parts inside that substance are packed together. So some things are more dense than others and it makes them sink down to the bottom, whereas things that are less dense, have more space in them, float up to the top. So today, welcome to my kitchen, we're gonna make a density column to show how this really works, all right? So we have a bunch of different substances that we're gonna be using. We have honey and dish detergent, dish liquid. We have water straight from the tap. We have vegetable oil. We have isopropyl alcohol, otherwise known as rubbing alcohol. And then we're gonna throw some objects in there too and see what happens after that, okay? So to make our density tower, I'm gonna try to set the phone so you all can see, and I can see what I'm doing too. Okay, we're gonna start out with our honey. And I'm very carefully going to squeeze some of this honey down into the bottom of my graduated cylinder, trying really hard not to get any dripped on the sides. So there is our honey layer, that nice golden honey color. All right, our next layer is going to be Blue House Dawn dish soap. So notice I'm gonna try really hard the same thing to pour it on top slowly without letting any get on the sides of the cylinder. Oops, don't wanna go too fast here. And so now you'll see we have two nice layers. The golden honey on the bottom and the blue dish soap on top, okay? And the blue dish soap, you might think is on top because I put it in second, which is kind of true, but it's also on top because the dish soap is less dense than the honey, and so it floats on top of the honey. So now we're gonna add water. And water's clear, so it's kind of boring for our experiment. So I'm going to make our water a color instead. We're gonna make it purple for all my friends in the purple house. Give it a little swirl here. Now, we're talking about something that is really, really liquidy. So I'm actually gonna use a dropper and add this water really carefully, because if I try to pour it, I might accidentally stir things up too much. So here we go, I'm putting the water in, and I have to do it real slowly, just drip it down the side, so this might take a minute. But if you notice already, the purple layer is floating on top of the blue layer. So this is gonna take a minute, so just patience is a virtue. And if you're making one of these at home, just go really slow. If you don't have a dropper, just pour gently down the side of your container that you're making your column in. Okay, and you can try this with all different liquids and see how they stack up, if you will, once you've poured them in. Okay, a little bit more so we can have a nice thick purple layer, just like our blue layer and our, oh, it's so dark in the column, it almost looks like it's, see, there's our water. Okay, let's do a little bit more water. Okay, so next up on our list is gonna be the vegetable oil. So I'm gonna dump out this one. And the same idea with our vegetable oil that we used with our water, we don't want to pour it down the sides and make a big mess or dump it right in. So we're gonna use that dropper again. Mine is actually what we call a pipette. So it's for real easy, precise science work. Now our vegetable oil is going to be a light yellow, almost clear. And you can already see it forming up on top. This one's pouring a lot easier than I thought it was going to. That's good. Oh, good. So you might notice that like vegetable oil feels real slippery when you're get it on your fingers if you're cooking something. So now we have honey, dish liquid, water with purple food coloring, and now vegetable oil up on top. Let's do a little more veggie oil because it looks cool. Alrighty, that's our vegetable oil layer. Now our last layer is going to be our rubbing alcohol. And again, rubbing alcohol is clear, so not real interesting to look at in our column unless we use a little food dye and make it exciting. So today I'm going to make it green for my greenhouse friends out there. Add a few drops of this neon green food coloring. Ooh, it's kind of like slime. And the same procedure, we're going to like drip it down the sides of our... Now this is going to be interesting to see what happens, because normally in school I would use a different, oh look at that, it's going below the oil. Do you see that? It's sunk down underneath the oil. So normally in school I would use 90% alcohol, which is a little less dense than what I've got right here. But at home I didn't have that, so we're just using what I got at home to make this tower. And that's so cool when you watch it. Do you see how the green layers kind of split up a little bit there? Okay, and it's sinking down below the veggie oil. It might be getting mixed in there a little bit, so we're gonna stop that layer now. So now the fun begins. We can tell from our column that honey is the most dense, dish detergent is the second most dense, water is third, and it looks like our veggie oil and our alcohol kind of mixed together, and that's okay. So now it's kind of a mixed layer of veggie oil and rubbing alcohol. But now we get to test some objects. So the first thing I have is a big metal screw. And so we're gonna very gently drop it in there and see what happens when we do. So here we go. Whoop. Ah, so it went all the way to the bottom. It sunk through all the layers and it mixed up our veggie oil and our water a little bit. But do you see how even though it sunk through all those layers, the layers stayed like in one piece? So that tells us that our density column is working. We didn't mix it up. We didn't mess it up. All right, now I'm gonna add a button. We can add a couple of different buttons and see what happens. I have some little buttons, some plastic. Okay, so I have a tiny little plastic button, and I have a medium-sized plastic button, and let's see, I have a big plastic button. So we'll do those three. Okay, so here we go. I'll hold the column so you can see it. Little button first. Here we go. Oh, the little button. Oh, do you see the little button? It is floating in the Dawn dish liquid, but it doesn't go past the honey. So now we know that our little button is more dense than water and the veggie oil and the rubbing alcohol, but not as dense as the honey. So since the little one went that far, let's try something different other than another button. I got a couple Cheerios. I was having a snack earlier. Let's dump some Cheerios in here and see what happens. Ah, Cheerios float right on top. And if you've ever munched on a Cheerio, you would know that it has all those little air holes in it and stuff like that, which makes sense. The air in the Cheerio makes it less dense than even our veggie oil, okay? So I wish I had a bunch of other objects to put in here today. I wish I was in the classroom so you could do a big column and see lots of different things. But so there you have it. That's the reason why Dr. Lalli's fish sauce, or whatever he was making that day, had different layers because of the density of the liquids that he was mixing together. I hope you enjoyed my little science demonstration for today. Sorry, my cat's trying to lick the vegetable oil. And we'll see you again soon. Look out for the next challenge. It's coming. Bye.